Okay, I've got both there. I'm sure I'll have some folks join me tonight. We had to move out of the lab because there was some work going on. The psychology department had some type of experiments that they were doing, so we cleared out of the lab. I've got just me here, and I hope I'll have some others that will join me. It's 5:55, and I know that I am indeed just a bit early, and so if you come in a little bit late, it'll be okay. For a very simple reason. You can always scroll back in the recording. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. And hi there, glad to see Trevin, glad to have you here. And what we'll be doing here now is as I mentioned before, and see Heath, glad to see you here as well. And as I've mentioned before, we're working ahead on the XLS cases. And hi, Trevin, you're I see you peering at me from your yellow couch or whatever that is, and you can see me hidden behind my Android. So you look, it's very dramatic poses. All right, now as I've mentioned before, what we're doing is we are working ahead on these Excel cases so that we can bank some time as you get to the end of the course. And I have some projects for you and that type of thing. And really to make these sessions just about workshop stuff, okay? Now, this week, we're going to take a look at XLS 12, okay? And before we do anything else, I'm going to go down and we'll take a look at the resources and what that's all about. And so we'll open this up and we'll go down to XLS 12, okay? And we're coming down now this week. There's the resource file. There's one of these at the end of each module. We're going to look at tracking inbound delivery, custom sorts, macros, and command buttons. Now, very simply, a macro is nothing more than recording your keystrokes. And then we can use command buttons, which we can insert those that can activate a macro. So if we want, we can automate a spreadsheet to a certain extent. Now there are some files that we'll be using, okay? And again, this is from these resources that we talked about. And one of them is Truman Assembly, and that's the file XLSX12 done. And that's in the Files section, Canvas, and I think I also have it posted there. Then we have the Makeup Sort Temp, and that's over in the template files in Chapter 25, and we'll look at, and then Figure 25.1. Okay, and that's in the Excel Companion Content 1 zip file. You remember there are two companion contents, and then we'll look at Red Bold, which is from Chapter 89, and that's Figure 89.1 to 8. And there they build a macro, and that's in the practice files. And there's also some stuff in Chapter 27, but then we'll be using the file out of the Excel Companion. So we're going to look at that, okay? And we'll take a little bit of time to do it. Now, next week, or in part 2 of tonight, and I intend to go, the typical 75 minutes or so, I'm going to take a look at pivot tables, which I think other than the other than the solver, which is an optimization tool, pivot tables are the most powerful. Well, let's look at this, and I want to look at this XLSX12 because it's a good example for us, and then we'll look at the examples that are provided in the textbook, okay? So I'm going to diminish this down, and we'll go back up, and we're going to take a look here, first of all, at this XLS12 done, okay? So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to download it, all right? And I'm going to put it in the folder where I can see it. I'll throw this down, and here's XLSX12 done. And we'll put it here. Here we go. Now, this file has, oh, I've got the wrong one. I want 12 done, Earth to me. Hang on, let me go back here for a minute. Yeah, all right. And I'll close this off. There we go. Start off with the wrong file. Here's XLS12 done. Now, I'm going to open this file up and let's talk about it. Now, this is one of these old cases from another text that I like to provide you so you could see a more, well, basically a fully developed example to work on. Now, we're going to click Enable Editing, all right? And then we'll enable the content. Notice it says security warning, macros have been disabled. So you're going to want enable content so we can get these. And then you'll want to save this file down on your desktop. All right, and do that. And we'll come up here to the desktop. Now, I'm going to put this down on I'll save it there. And we'll replace it and we're good. Okay. Now I'm going to even close this off for just a second and then I'll reopen it because I want to show you some things. When we have a file that has a macro in it and we start to operate, we'll often get some cues because a macro is our keystrokes. Okay, just copy a set of copied keystrokes, and there are also places where people can stick a virus or some type of what they call an SQL injection, where they'll put a bad code in that can get spread. So we have to be a little bit careful about that, and that's why you get those security warnings. Okay, now. As I mentioned here, and I've got a little bit I've got just a hair of a small little note here. I direct you to tell you where we have the macros for sorting, and they're printed down below here, down below A75. So let's go down to A75 for a minute, okay? And you're going to see this is the printout of those macros, okay? And this is what you would see in the macro area in Excel, and we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. Here is the fast arrival. We're going to do three macros. Now this is from a company called Truman, okay, and they want to evaluate their vendors in terms of how fast the vendors get stuff to them. Okay, so they've done that. Now, notice that we have a full set of information here. All right, the author, that would be in, and the date, and the three types of macros. One is we just simply sort the vendors. The others, we have a fast arrival, that is they get stuff to us quickly, and the other is a slow arrival. Now there's another piece to this or dimension to this that we're going to be working with. And let me see for a minute. I see some more folks. Great. I see Thomas, Trevin, Thomas, String. Good to see you here. Rebecca, Maddie, Cassie. Good. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry that we had the little bit of a deal we had to. Now, as we start to look at this, you'll notice that there are some buttons over here, and we're going to look at the development of command buttons tonight because they're very easy to develop, okay? Not a big deal whatsoever. Now we have this, let's look at this spreadsheet, and basically we have some information. It's just a fairly common thing. We have vendor name, the vendor number, the order number. You can read it fast, I can call it out. And then we have a promised shipping date, okay, and a promised transit, and an actual arrival date, and the days overdue. Now, we're concerned about how fast stuff gets to us because in this case, the company is an assembly company. And what they do is they take components and assemble them into a finished product. And then now the finished product could be a component that goes into something larger, or the finished product is the full thing that's shipped off to be retailed. So that's all pretty simple. We say, okay, what are we looking here now? Now we've got we have a promised shipping date, all right? And we have a promised transit time, 4 days. And it actually arrived here on the 25th. So they promised, our vendor, Eagle Technology, said, okay, we're going to ship it on the 23rd. Okay? We assume it'll take 4 days. It actually gets here on the 25th. So it's less than 2 days overdue. In other words, we got it 2 days early. And you say, how did we do this? Well, what we've done is we're just simply treating the dates like a number. And the machine does. It just simply treats them like a number, and then it formats a date for you and me. So when you deal with dates, whether you're in a database or you're in a spreadsheet, it's going to show you. Underneath there will be a number, okay? But at your level and mine, we'll be seeing something that makes sense to us in terms of a date. That is a month, a day, and a year. So we know that Eagle Technology it can get stuff to us pretty fast, okay? We also have some things like the item cost, the quantity, etc. Now, another feature that we want to just simply do is to sort the vendors, okay? So we're going to click on the sort by vendor, and this will put them in alphabetical order. Okay, you see that? Now you would have to have enabled your macro, then saved it to your desktop for you to be able to do this. If you're on a phone, let me say this. I don't have any idea of how you intend when you have a test or an exam to work. Now, if you have the phone and you plan also to come in and work on the machines and have the phone available, that's great. And I have to tell you, I'm very sorry. First of all, we got kicked out of the lab tonight. Number two, I wish that we had fully functioning machines in the lab that had the sound the whole bit. However, over the years, folks, I guess, apparently had abused the privileges, and they finally just said, we'll disable those elements. But there's nothing that stops you from logging in to watch the video and have your phone and listen along as you go. The other thing you can do is you can look at you should be able to access a transcript. And another thing you should be able to do on the video would be to have it closed caption. Okay, so if you're over here in Bailey, you should be able to get closed captioning on these as well. I've got the settings, and they should be doing that for us. So we click this button and we sorted it by vendor. We'll do that again, and that puts them in an order that we want. And then we can sort by fast delivery. Watch this. Here we go. And then we can sort by slow delivery. And this lets us see. Now notice these let us automate what would normally be a process whereby we'd take all of the cells, okay, and we'd come up here and we do the sort and filter, and we'd choose the each of the levels of sort, and then we'd execute the sort. That's all built in once we've done it. Now I want to show you down here again that we have the macros printed down here. I'll show you. Now this is the vendor sort, and this is a macro recorded, okay? It has a keyboard shortcut, and it starts with range E9 that we select, and we got everything from A7 to M73, okay? And then we got a range key 8, and we put the order number in descending, and then the key range, and this is for the machine what's happening. It records the keystrokes, and then it ends the subroutine, okay? I want to go under the hood just a little bit for a moment, and I'm going to click here on the sort by vendor, and I want to come in and look at it for just a second. Now, before I do that, let me say this. I can do some things, edit the text. I can order it. I can do some format control, that type of thing. Okay? And if I want to edit it, I can edit the text. So we've got that. Same thing over here. So we can make these look pretty. We can format them however we want to do. Okay? Now, I'm going to click Review. Okay? I think it's either View or Review. It's View. I'm sorry. I click the View tab, and if you look all the way to far to the right, you're going to see the macros. Okay? Now, click on that, and we'll put View Macros, and we can see those 3 macros: fast arrival, slow arrival, and vendor sort. Now, I'm going to click on fast arrival, and we can run that, or we can step into it, or we can edit it. Okay? Now, I'm going to click on the edit, and we're going to get a very different looking screen. Now, this is what I had copied earlier. And basically what this has done is just recorded a subroutine. Okay? There's probably some of you, perhaps, who've worked with Visual Basic for Excel. Perhaps you've done Visual Basic for Word, Visual Basic for Access. That's all you've got going on here is a sub. Now, this right here shows us the name of the subroutine, okay? And then we've got a line, and then these are comments. And then we start to see the keystrokes recorded. And so that's all that a macro does. Now, we can scroll down here some more, and we can see the slow arrival. Same story. I'm going to close that off, and then if you want to go back up to the Excel view, you do this, boom, and you're right back over there. And so that's a way for you to take a peek and go downstairs and look at them in the VBA environment, I guess would be the best way to put it. Now I'm going to go back over here and go to the Home button. All right, and I'm going to create one of these. I'm going to create a macro. Now, let's see, what do I want to do? Okay, I'm going to click View. Okay, and I'm going to click Macros, and I'm going to click Record a Macro. Record Macro. Now, this is where people get nervous because they think they've got to rush through this. The machine will take as long as you want to take. It's going to take your keystrokes once you begin to do some executable commands. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm just creating this, and I'm going to call this cost uh, I'm going to put, let's see, let me back up. I'm going to put item cost um, uh, AZ. All right. Now I'm not going to put in a shortcut key, although I could. Also, I'm not going to, I can store the macro in this workbook and apply it to the workbook, or if I want, I can apply it just to the spreadsheet. It doesn't matter. And then I have a description here. So I'm going to write in the description, item costs. So you learn to type. Item costs sorted from lowest to highest. The AZ means, and just to make sure, I'll put i.e. a descending order, ascending order, pardon me. Okay. So I put item cost sorted from lowest to highest, i.e. ascending order. And I'll click OK. All right. Now I can click back up here, and I'm still working with this. All right. And I'm going to take my cursor and I'm going to start here at A7. I'm going to come all the way down to A7 down to M73. All right. I'm going to select A7 to M73. I'm going to select that array. And I'm going to come over here. Again, there's no need to be nervous because the machine's just going to do what you do when you ask it to do it. And I'm going to click Home. And then I'm going to come over here to Sort and Filter, and I'm going to click Sort. Let's see, I want to do a custom sort. So I'll choose Custom Sort. And I can click on this level and delete it. Click on that level and delete it. And I'm going to add a level. Now make sure that it says my data has headers. And I'm going to add a level, and I'm going to sort it by item costs on values, smallest to the largest. Okay? Now, I'll click OK. And notice what happened. It gave us the item costs from the smallest to the largest. Now we have a particular item here, and they all have the costs of $2. The lowest is $2.05. Okay. Now I'm going to come back here to View. I'm going to click on View. I'll come back over to the macros, and notice I have a blue button that says Stop Recording. If I've done everything I want to do, I click Stop Recording. Now, we should be done. Okay, so I'm going to click on View again. All right, and I'm going to come home, and then come back over to View, and I should be in good shape. And then I just click outside of that area where I was working, and now I'm ready to go. And let's click on View Macros, and you're going to see the item cost AZ. Okay, and I have the name of it, and I have a description. I have the macros in all where it operates there. And so I have the item cost, and I can run that. And there we go. And we start. I can do the same thing by reverse, okay? But I want to do one other thing. I want to add a command button. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click Insert. Okay, and I think I want to insert shapes. Let's see here. Here they are. And the shapes right up here. And I'm going to choose it. I'm going to choose an oval. All right. And I'm going to put it right here. Now, I've got one style format there. And so I'm going to right click and I'm going to put edit text. And I'll begin to type in. I can even type it in up here. And I'm going to put item cost. I'm going to put item cost AZ. And it should do it for me. Oh, the reference is invalid. All right. To do this. Sorry. I'm in here and I'm going to put edit text and I will write in item cost AZ. And then I'll click outside of it. Now I've created my object. Okay. And now if I want to, which I do, I want to assign this to a macro. So I'm going to right click it and I'll assign the macro. All right. And I'm going to assign it to item cost AZ. And I'll click OK. All right. Now we're ready to go. Now, let's go up here. We'll click on View. And I'll come over to the macros and I'll view my macros. And I've got the fast arrival, I've got slow arrival, I've got vendor sort, and then item cost AZ. So I'm going to run fast arrival. Okay. And I don't even have to do that. I'll just pop out of this and I'll click it. I'm going to click sort by vendor. It does that. Now the whole idea of using these is to produce a dashboard. Now, when you're at work one of these days and you have a dashboard, you'll have a series of interactive. Your screen will be interactive like your phone is, where we have apps you can press and stuff happens. You'll have the same thing in your spreadsheet. There'll probably a macro or a hyperlink or something like that that will take you to an area or perform a particular function that you want to know. So if you want to know an alpha, if you want the you want to sort it by vendor, okay, you can do that. Now, if I want to, I can sort by fast delivery. I can sort it by slow delivery. Let's see if we can do it on the basis of item costs. And there we are. Now, obviously, I'd want to have, and I should have named this item cost AZ, and I could do an item cost ZA, meaning highest to lowest. And I could with this sort by vendor, it looks like to me it's probably alphabetical. Let's take a gander down and see. And it's going to give us that high one. So again, we can do the sorting here by fast delivery, by slow delivery. But it's a very simple thing, and what it does is it automates the worksheet for us, so we don't have to go through the operations of scrolling through the keys and all that stuff. Now again, if I want to, all right, um, I can click over here on the home button. Okay. All right. And I'll click view. All right. And I'm going to click the macros. And I'm going to look at this. I'm going to view the macros. Right. And if I want to, on this item cost AZ that we just created, I can step into it. All right. And notice what we've got. Here's the name of the subroutine. And then these are comments. This is some VBA that it generates based on your keystrokes. And the item cost sorted from lowest to highest, i.e. in ascending order. And then the range and the active windows that we scrolled through. And the active workbook dot active worksheets, Kubernetes dot sort fields clear. And these are the commands that's following. Now, here's the nice thing. If I had data, all right, that are arranged just as the data we have in this array, in this table, A7, I think the M73 or whatever it is, if I have that same array, I can chunk this into another workbook and replicate it and do it. Or I could just go ahead and create more macros. That's up to me. But this automates the process. Now, where people get nervous is when they press the record and they get and they think. And listen, if you mess it up, just delete it. You know, you won't break the machine. Okay. Now, to go back over here, and we're going back to the Microsoft view. And then we'll click home, and there we be. And we've added item cost. So this is XLSX 12, XLSX 12 or XLS 12 done. Now, many times you will see people, if they save something with macros, it will be dot. It'll have a XLSM, meaning macro. But this is just a way to automate your spreadsheet a little bit in a very easy way. Now, what you're doing is Visual Basic for Excel programming, but the macro is doing the keystrokes. Macro records the keystrokes and converts those keystrokes to code. Okay, and so there's really no reason for you to do it any other way. Now, I'm going to close this off. All right, and I'm not going to save my recent changes. All right, but I'm going to go back up here now. All right, and we're back at XLS at one. So we worked with it a little bit, and we'll go back over here and we'll come down here to XLS 12. And we have some examples or template from the book. So let's look at that first of all, and we'll go over to the book. And we're going to start with chapter 25. This, of course, is the Excel 2016 book. Okay. And I'm going to add chapter 25. And this is sorting in Excel. I will go there. All right. And we're going to go down to figure 25.1. And this is this set of transaction data. And this is the raw data before we do some sorting with it. And the authors are going to give us, as usual, some verbiage. Now, watching the video and seeing me do one of my old examples is fine. What will really reinforce things for you or give you a comfort level is to come back to your textbook, okay, and use the files. And so we've got this file now. There's a file that we want to get, and it's called Makeup Sort Temp. Now, you'll want to, if you you'll need to download, okay, the Excel companion content. Okay, remember we have that Excel companion zip file. You'll find that over in the files, and you're going to click on that, right? And we're going to go down to chapter 25. And I'm going to open chapter 25, and I'm going to get the the templates. Open that up, and where's my list? Actually, so let me sort 25. List tempo. I don't want that. What did I do with you guys? Okay. Hang on a second here. That's okay. Maybe I'm in the wrong pew. Maybe it's in the practice file. Let me open this up. Makeup sort front. No, let me do this. Oh, it's not going to be in the solution files. I thought I had it in the templates. Templates. Well, let me do this. Move this thing over here for just a second. And hang on here for a second. Put that off. I'm wondering if I just had loaded it up here and threw it around somewhere. Oh, well, I guess I guess it's this one. So let's just go ahead and download it. I thought I had it inside I must have been smart. I think I outsmarted myself by uploading the thing over here. Okay, so download it here. I'm sorry about that. And we'll show in the folder. Yeah, I did. I outsmarted myself once again. So it's Makeup Sort Temp. Okay. And we're going to get rid of it. And we'll open it up. Okay. And again, the verbiage for this is over on chapter 21. So I'll enable it. Okay. And these are the transaction numbers, etc. Now, let's go back up and take a look at what the book has to say. Right? And I have a little bit of stuff I need to deal with here. This little bar here can be very distracting. So I'm going to go back to Vital Source. You don't see it because it's the magic control bar. So here's the number, the data set. Okay. As mentioned, this is a figure for 25-1. And it says, I want to sort the data so that the following occurs. Transactions are listed alphabetically by salesperson. Okay. And I want to do the usual so that all of Ashley's transactions are first and all of Zaret's transactions are last. So I want to do this by first name. Okay. And so I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight all these cells. Okay. And we'll scroll down here. We've got all these records here. I don't remember how many we had. Maybe 500. I got more than that. Holy smokes. So I've got 1,000. Why hadn't I did? Yeah, we had this big of a data set. Highlight all of them. Okay. Wow. We've got 1,013 records. Okay. So I've got that all highlighted, excuse me. Now I'm ready to do a sort and filter. So I'll click here on sort, and then I'll choose a custom sort. Make sure that you have clicked my data has headers, okay? And now we're going to do our sorts. We're going to do our custom sort. Now, they had asked us to do it by, I think, first name. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to delete this level. All right. And I'm going to add a level. And I'm going to sort this by name. So we don't have a first or last, we just have their first name. So click by name on values A to 7. Now, I want to stop for a moment and make sure that you understand. When we do a custom sort, we're sorting columns. When we do a filter, we're working with rows. And it's important to understand that because columns are variables or dimensions or some attribute, whereas a row is a distinct collection of attributes. Okay, and now we've got data has headers, we have the array, and we've chosen our primary sort. And the primary sort is we've done it by name. Okay, and we're ready to click OK. And there we have it, exactly like they wanted, with Ashley's name as first, and then that the other person whose name is a Z is on there. We've done that. Okay. Now we've done that, and so all of the transactions are first, and all the zeroth transactions are last. All right. Now we want to do a second step. Now here's one of the reasons that one should use macros. It's just more orderly if you have the macros, okay, because they have you limit your sorts into a grouping so that it makes sense. All right. Now we've got these transactions are listed alphabetically by the salesperson. Okay. So we're at the second bullet point, and we want them sorted by product. Okay. And so we're going to go back in here, the file, and we're going to sort them by product. Now I can continue on with this sort, and I'm going to click custom sort, and we'll see our primary sort, which is the one we did on the names. Now we're going to do a secondary sort. And on that one, we want the product, eyeliner. So they tell us the eyeliner, then the foundation. So they want the sort to be in ascending order, descending order. Excuse me. And we'll go back up here and we'll take this down. Here we go. So I'm going to add the level, and that will be product. Okay. And that's our secondary level, and we've got it A to Z. So we'll click OK. Now notice something. Things have changed. It can fool you if you're not thinking carefully. Name is our primary sort. When we do a custom sort, okay, and you'll see this when we put our toes a little bit into Access. I do a custom sort, it's the first one, and it dominates everything else. So the name is there. Now the next thing that we have, okay, is by product. And you'll see that we have the eyeliner, and then it's going to go from the E down to an F or whatever's next. E was the first letter, so we're moving it in ascending order, and I'll click OK. You can see that. There's the foundation, lip gloss, etc. So far, no big deal. We've done a primary sort. We've done a primary sort. We've done a secondary sort. Okay. Let's take a gander back up and take a peek back up again at that chapter and see what they want us to do. Here's the third bullet point. Salesperson product listed by number of units sold. They want units sold, and I'm writing that in descending order, and I'm putting in, units sold in Z to A. Okay. So for each salesperson, product transactions are listed by number of units sold in descending order. Okay, so we're going to focus on the number of units sold. So let's close this back down, and we'll come back here and we'll go to our sort and filter. And there's the custom sort. Now we're going to add a third, which is what we call a tertiary sort. That is one in addition. We have a primary, we have a secondary, and then what I call a tertiary or third level sort. And in this case, it's going to be the units sold. So we'll add the level. Okay, now I want to go back up here. I want to make sure it's by products, values, and then this time in this third level, I want it to be units sold. They don't necessarily say units, so they say units. And I want it in descending order, largest to smallest. Make sure of that. In descending order, yes. So we've got the name, the product, salesperson's name, the product, and then the units, their own values. And this time with the units, okay, and that's the units sold. We've got that in largest to smallest, so we'll click there. Okay, and there we are. So far, so good. Let's go back into the textbook. Now, it says it was difficult to sort on more than 3 criteria. They give you some stuff about what Excel allows you to apply up to 64 criteria in a sort. Okay. And so they walk us through each of those. And we end at name. And then they also say if we want, we can add the product values. And so I go back down here. And so we've got the units, and I want to go back up, and then we have the units, and then we have the date. So we'll go back and we'll close this off. Diminish it, excuse me. And I'm going to add level, and that will be date. Let me pop back up for a minute, and they have it by date, oldest to newest. Okay. Now, I should be able to take this and move it down here. Here it is. Earth to me. I'm going to take it down. I'm sorry. Those are the toggles that let me move them up and down. So let's look in the textbook and see if we have it exactly. So we have name, product, unit, date. Name, product, units, date. And we have A to Z, then largest to smallest. and oldest to newest. And now we're ready. Okay. Now we notice that we've run our, let me open this up for a minute. I want to show you something. Okay. You could see right here. All right. I've got the name, the product, the units, the date. Okay. Now, I don't have the dollars, nor do I have location. So let's see in the textbook if they want us to add in dollars, and if they do anything with dollars. And I'm looking here to see if they do anything with dollars. It appears they don't. No, wait a minute. Yeah, they've got dollars in here too. How do I know? I can look and I can see. Let's go back here. No, we didn't do it. And we'll click OK here. Now, they talk about they use a conditional formatting, and I want to sort color or is it possible? Yes. And they're going to have us use we can sort it up. We can sort it by color. In other words, Christina, how are we doing this? Let's see. And so you can sort by color if you care to. Okay. And they walk you through some other issues in terms of having the months sorted in a particular way that you want. And they talk about that. Let me say this. I'll diminish this down. All right. And let's look on our custom sort box. Now, okay. There it is. I had to click inside the range. My apologies. We do have some options. Okay, and we can click on that. And they tell us we can, sort from top to bottom, sort left to right. Okay. We can sort on values. They have cell color, font color, cell, and then cell icon. I would have to say this, okay? I'm probably not going to do that. If I want to do anything, I may just go ahead and use the conditional formatting itself on top. You say, well, how would you do that? Well, let's start with the dollars. Okay, let's start with the location, because we never did do anything with location, and essentially, I guess we could go ahead and order those by location. So let's just do that. Let's click in here, and we'll add. I'll click home, and custom sort, and I guess I'm going to add a level of location. Now, the only way I need to do this is to do it by the location, values, and I'm just going to have them alphabetized. Okay. Now I've got that in there, and I'm ready to move the location to the bottom. I'll click OK. Now I'm ready. Come back over here with my custom sort. I'll click OK. And let's see. Now, let's click that for just a second. We've got the location, values, A to Z. Well, the authors talk about how many things I can add in here, but the name, these are all in order, they are in order of importance. So we've got location ending up being A to Z. So I've got a way I can work around that, which is going to be a lot easier than messing with too much of the filter and the sorting. And I'm just going to simply grab these records and I'm going to sort them. Wow, got a lot of records there. Okay, but that's what we run into. Now we can already see over there, we saw one with halogen. And I'm going to click, I'm going to go over here to conditional formatting. And I'm going to highlight cell rules. And notice I can put text that contains East. And if it's a text that contains East, I'm going to do, let's see, I've got a light red, a yellow, green. Let's see if I've got some other ones. Well, we'll just do that. And it will look locational East. And so anytime it's an East, and then I can go back over here and I can do another conditional format. There's several ways I could do this. Hide cell rules. Location. We've got the text that contains. We've got light red fill, and then we have contains the text. So we've got East, and what's going to be next? Midwest, yeah, East, EM, SW. So it'll be Midwest. And this time I'm going to do a yellow fill with yellow text. Okay. And there they are. And then I'm ready to do another, and I'm just going to simply use the highlight cell rules, and I'm going to put text that contains, what would be the next one? South. And we'll make that green fill with green text. Okay. And then let's see, we've got the West, so we'll click on that. We'll do highlight cell rules, and we'll come to text that contains West. And I'm going to change that to a custom format. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to do the border, pardon me, the fill. I'm going to make it a nice blue. Okay. And so I've done a pretty blue. I'll make it a little lighter, even a little lighter than that. That's good. Now click OK. And then I want to still work with the custom font, but don't really need to do that. We're okay. So I've got all my territories. Now also you saw over here, and this is a little bit of work, or you saw the Halligan transaction 14. And you could have done the same thing. All we're doing here is just organizing this data set. That's really all we're doing, okay? Now, we start a little bit early, and I promised you, I'll go out 75 minutes and chunk it, and then I'll do a part 2, tomorrow or over the weekend, which chunks it for you even further, okay? And again, before I go to the next exam worksheet, I want to make sure that you understand as you go through the week, it's probably not a bad idea in terms of kind of enforcing what we do here for you just to simply watch maybe 10 or 15 minutes or so. And I think it does generate a transcript. So if it generates a transcript, take a look at the transcript, okay? And if you have a question, then identify at the minute and the second and the hour identify the question. Then it lets me go take a look at it, okay? Because it can get mind-numbing. See, we've already gone close to 70 minutes. Now, we're going to take one final thing, and we have this file, red bold, which is a practice file. Now I'm gonna go ahead and close this, and I'm gonna save the changes. All right, and so if you've been working along, you could upload that file for XLS 12, or you could upload the file. Okay, I'll pop back over here. You could we've done 12. Okay, so if you want to, you could upload this one, or we can do red bold, and we'll do red bold, and you could upload it. So you've got the 12 done. That's the Truman assembly, okay, where we did some macros. We've got this makeup sort. Now you say, could I come back in and could I have recorded the keystrokes that you did there and made that a macro? Certainly. Now what I do is if I'm going to do something like that, I'll sit down and figure out the sorts that I'm going to perform, have a name, that type of thing. So when I'm recording the macro and it wants information, I can put it in the macro. Notice I've been pretty slow and pretty deliberate because there's no point. If you record a macro, all right, the machine will wait for you as you input instructions. So don't get nervous as you're there. I've seen students do that, and it's just there's no point. Okay, so we've got this makeup sort temp, and we've looked at it. Again, this is just a process whereby we're organizing data. And you say, okay, big deal. Well, here's the big deal. Understanding some of this. Now, we're going to take this plus some of the knowledge we've gained from some of the knowledge we've gained from doing some spreadsheeting, okay? And when we're going to combine the two of them together when we look at the PowerPoint. And I probably will look at that, and I'll probably do that in part 2. But before I go too much further, I want to ask, is there anybody that has a question that I could try to answer for you? Anybody? And if you wanted to do a chat, you could do the little chat thing. So if you want to ask a question. Anybody? Okie dokie. Well, I'll tell you what I am going to do, and it's this. See, that's 6. This is 7 o'clock, and we started about 10 minutes till. So we've gone 70 minutes. So I have 80 minutes left of the magical 150 minutes that we have to have together. And let me see what all I've got here. I want to go through the roll of honor again. Cassie, thanks for being here. Jane, same story. Maddie, Rebecca, Shireen, and Thomas. Who else is here? And Trevin. Good. Now, thank you so much. Now, I know there will be a bunch of people who will look at this later, and hopefully, if they have questions, they'll take a look and see what I'm doing. Now, I think that the red bold is over in chapter 89. So let's just take a peek at it, and then I'm going to call it a night on this, because I think we've gone as far as we could do. Now, if any of you have bought the textbook and you've used Vital Source, all right, I love it. Now, let me encourage you. You'll notice that almost every text you have with me now is in digital format. There's a reason. I can search through it. I can go through it. I don't have to pack the thing around. It's inside my machine. And obviously, if it's something like the thing I like about Vital Source is that it's device agnostic. Here's what I mean. It doesn't have to be on a certain device. I can play it from anywhere. It's cloud-based. That's why I just love it. And I have all my classes on it. I like it. And I encourage you to get that for a very simple reason. It lets you search by topic. It lets you maneuver a lot easier. It's just a much better way, I think, for you to go. Now, let's go over here, and we're going back now to chapter 89. Okay, because that's where we're going to take a look at. And of course, 89. Now, when I do 89, when I work on this, okay, this is on recording macros. There's more of it, the red bulb. Remember that this is going to be in the companion folder number 2. You say, what are you talking about? Let me show you. Here's the Excel companion content 1. I'll go right over here. Here's Excel companion content 2. Now I'm going to open it up. Okay. And you're going to see the chapters. Okay. And this is one from data admin. But you're going to see these chapters. And we'll look, for example, at like 89. So the higher the chapters you get, the more likely it is it's going to be over in one of them. Now, we'll go back here for just a minute, and I'm trying to add a weekly feature to this as part of my professional development. So I'm going to use the annotation tool, and I'm going to spotlight my cursor. Is that cool? Okay. Now, I'll be wanting to see some emails from everybody about whether they like this one, what they think about this. Okay. And hopefully I turn the spotlight off. I can draw. Let's see. I can draw. Okay. Look at that. See? Is that cool? And I can erase it. I get my eraser. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm impressed. Now, actually, what I like is this function is a nice function because it really does. If I wanted to highlight text and so forth, and I'm trying to kind of integrate it in as I go along with Zoom. I've got text. I can, do things, all this business. I'm going to close this off. Now, as I mentioned, that we did the chapter 89 and so we'll go over here to chapter 89, recording macros. And here in figure 89.1, Okay, they're going to show us how to record a macro, and so they'll take us through that in excruciating detail, just like I got through doing with you. All right, and so you can take a look at it. Now again, that's going to be that red bold, and we'll play around with that file just a little bit when I do part 2. Okay, and I think you can tell from the sound of my voice, I'm about giving out. I know you're probably tired. I don't know what you did over the fall break, but I did. It was kind of fun, but it was probably stupid. I was out in the fall, south of where we live. There's a bunch of open fields and pasture, and about this time of the year, the coyotes come out. And if you've never heard coyotes, it's about the coolest thing you can ever hear. When we lived out in Arizona, my wife and I was at school out there. We were our subdivision was right up against a mountain or a little basin just that flowed up to a mountain in Prescott, Arizona. East Prescott is what it was called. To make a long story short, at night in the fall, we could hear the coyotes. And it's amazing because they kind of sound like babies or crying or something. It's not like a wolf, but and so I went out and I sat. Now you can't get a picture of them. It's hard to, because the minute you move, they sense that you've moved and boom, they're gone. So, but if you're out there, and I was out in the night air, I'm surprised I didn't get pneumonia. You know how foggy it was, but it was just an amazing experience to be out there and hear those things. Now, the only thing I can compare it to is up in when I lived in St. Louis, and they have a sanctuary for wolves, and you go over there and you about 5:30 or 6 o'clock, just at the start of dusk, and they had a guide who would go with you, and you'd go deep into the sanctuary, and you could hear the wolves. And I'll tell you what, it's something. How it is something, an amazing thing to hear. Okay, so if you get a chance to do something like that, you do. See, and it's a reminder of God's glory and His bounty and how much He blesses us by giving us these incredible animals and to care for. So you can't accuse me of not integrating faith with my learning. No, you can't. No, you can't. Well, my friends, thank you so much for being with me. Listen, I want you to know that I understand that there are others who are not beaming in during the actual class sessions and are waiting to look at everything in part 2. I understand that. And I want you to know that like the 8 or 9 or 14 or 10 or so that are in every night, that come in every week, you are people who are demonstrating the kind of attitude and work ethic that I have to say, I tip my hat to you. I really truly do. And I know you're tired. You've had a long day. And I hope that chunking it out like this kind of helps you, and it helps you kind of get keep from having to be up till 9 o'clock and all that business. So we will be in the lab next week unless someone else moves us out of there. But as far as I know, we'll be there. If we're not, I will let you know. But thank you so very much for coming out. Again, I'm going to stop. Is there anybody who has any questions? Any questions? Okay, my friends, thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next week over at the lab.